Welcome to the lovely IHP paid and free subscriber community. Those who are 5D and beyond, mystics, spiritual, mindful living, loving people. And maybe you don't even use those words, but what you do know is you love to be a gut that is aligned with a heart and a mind that is emotionally mature, like a what? A functional child adult. That's why we do the inner growth mindset exercises of the day, and we have some new for our paid subscribers, 5-minute and 15-minute. You got a sample of the 3-minute on YouTube, and if you're hearing me instead, you didn't get a sample of the 3-minute, but you can become a paid subscriber by visiting the homepage of the podcast, IHP Inspiring Human Potential, wherever you're tuning in from, or visit YouTube, and there's a bunch of different free samples both on the hearing me. Remember, there's 2 or more voices of me, by the way, which I have yet to distribute the lovely spotlight little pieces of chit chat that I got to have with Cynthia and the other co-authors of the book, The Ways to God. And if you're new, this is how I do things, very informally, but I'm also going to let you know it's only people who want to grow their emotional invincible muscle. So when we're afraid, which is always, and we're vulnerable, which is always, why? Well, that's your human makeup. And while when I first began IHP, I knew this, now I know the skeleton, meaning the embodied brain. And so when I learn from smart people, I know how data works. It replicates itself like a wheelhouse. And that's because science works that way. So I'm the woo-woo pseudoscience lady though, and this is an integrated channel guidance, food for thought, mystic, okay, so spiritual self-help, personal development. People who are actually at this moment in time tapped into spirituality from their prefrontal cortex are the actual ones who I consider in 5D and beyond, because I say actually, since, when you have distorted selves, they do a really great job at twisting things. No, they don't, excuse me. So let me pause myself. I have all my child parts so that you can understand, and I have my body. It's in ventral vagal state, and even when I'm getting afraid, I still know that my body is in eustress. Why? Because Maria has been mindfully aware with flaws and integrity my entire life. Since as a 3-year-old I said this to my mom: you can't spank me, it's my body. And when she was done spanking me, I went to make my suitcase. And that showed lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel what he said to me in an FAQ in one of my courses, which is now deleted, I think, from the digital sphere. So you might say, I don't believe you. I can't prove it. But what he shared with me, and I'm laughing because I know there's people out there that will make up so many stories of those of us who talk to you about compersion. Yes, polyamory community, but you don't have to be polyamory, because that's what real love is, compersion. Doesn't mean that you are a person who is, what's the word, unfaithful or wrecking family. No, it means you actually love the person, because see, love is free, like trust is. FREE, because I'm afraid of being hit by the asteroid just as much as you are. I'm afraid of being asphyxiated because nobody cares about pollution. I'm afraid the sun's going to hit us. I'm afraid of a lot of things with nature. But I definitely know as a spiritual being, thank you God, and all that is the feminine, that you are not destroyers at all, and the ones who think that any of creatorship would destroy the children that it created. Wow. You really have your faith broken in humanity, because that's the only reason we have all the low frequency people out there. It's not Lucifer. Nope, that story, when I got told it, I was like, whoa, this is scary as shit. And then I grew up and I'm like 19 and I said, hey God, so I don't see Lucifer. I did meet cowards though. I don't have anything to do with them, because, I'm forgiving them like Jesus taught me. He told me to walk in Jesus's footsteps. I chose to. And in fact, when I said, hey, can you help me stop venting? Because I've decided it's yucky and really it doesn't bring anything, and I'm growing up, and I didn't know the adolescent brain, 11 to 25, now I do. So Maria's from the future. I already knew that once I got Claire's, because the downloads, I'd been having them even when I was a kid. I just didn't compare myself to an anointed human being. But yes, I'm an expert yogi, I'm an expert prophet, I'm an expert, and oh, how dare you? You know what? Again, so the people who don't like the ones of us who understand how Akash Source Anima Mundi works, the Dalai Lama shared with the religious figures what they can do, which is finally do the right thing. I know there's many more before the Dalai Lama that tried it, or maybe not many more, but I know there's one for sure, because I studied world religions, and people who want to continue using very defined boxes say things like this: I want people to value logic over what feels right. Wow, wow. You're just full of feelings right now as you're expressing your very bitter, cynical, embodied 14-month-old. And I'm sure your group agrees with you and they blame people like me for the flat earthers. And I'm totally okay with adaptive child part pointing finger because it shows they're afraid. They're emotionally immature, and their best solution is to, what was it, Albert Einstein? Stay away from every negative person. They have a problem for every solution. Yes, and what else? What was it, Terrio? They think they're right. You're wrong. Adaptive child. What else? They will basically regurgitate. No, I'm adding shit. So when somebody just begins to give you the list of all their scientists of why they're right, you're like, sure. I'm philosophizing right now. Like, really, I know who the actual academics are and how they work. They don't do this shit. Okay, so social time, it's over. When you meet adaptive child part people, this is the thing. I didn't understand why teenagers are trying to prove shit. I'm like, I'm not proving something. I'm talking. I'm not sure what you're doing. This is called confidence with a sense of self that's owned by me, with integrity. No flaws. No, perfect. Full of flaws. So emotionally immature people, they want love, which I will give through a hug. I won't actually say I accept in a way of agreeing. And then they say, but you're not taking my side. And I say, yes, I'm a differentiated self. That's what Dr. Daniel Siegel told me. Meantime, my twin went up to my mother as I'm making my suitcase, hugs her and says, Mommy, I will never leave you. And we still don't know if it was to reassure the big human being who feeds us as a physical safety, or if it was to reassure the big human being because, oh, they have a boo-boo, let me go make their feelings better. We don't know. I don't know. I wasn't my twin at the time. I can ask, but I'm not sure she has an answer for us. As a mystic, I also know my oversoul. I'm an Akashic record reader, Reiki master. I'm also a tarot oracle card reader. And when people come to me for advice, I always say, look, you realize you have two opportunities as you're living life right now, because spirituality and science has come together to prove that which Jesus already told me. The kingdom of God is within every one of my brothers and sisters. Forgive for they don't know. Turn the other cheek. And I said, yes, Bezel van der Kolk informed me why they don't know how to be themselves. Because when a person's afraid, the first thing they do is look outside themselves for help. So when your body is scanning self and others to feel if you're safe, but you do not own the sense of self because you don't own your solo, narrative, relational, and core self because you do not own your personality patterns, temperament, and attachment, and it's not a secure one. Thanks, Dr. Jan Siegel. So when a person does not have an integrated brain, they won't be back here because they don't know how to do body in connection, and they won't want it. Because they're looking, thank you for the confirmation, for somebody to tell them that they're anointed and special and to give them the solution to fear. The asteroid we hope doesn't hit us. The solution to your human secondary consciousness is that you will be aware that you live and breathe and you will die. I'm not upset about it anymore. Marcus Aurelius gave me a really great way to handle that, which is, how about you choose to use your life to leave something behind. So the human secondary and primary consciousness work together here at IHP. And it isn't, and I didn't, I'm with him now. And it isn't pretend to be positive. It's actually called the depth of the emotional plane. It's ventral vagal toning without yoga. And it's actually integration without mindfulness. No, mindfulness practices, I've always put them into practice. I didn't use the word because I have mindsight skills, because I sift Maria's sensations, images, feelings, thoughts. And then I don't project them. That's why I said love is compersion, whether you're monoamory or polyamory. So teenage boyfriend, the first cheating incident, I said, don't think that you lost my trust. I'm going to check your phone. I'm going to be doing what our friends do. It's ridiculous. The fact that they also put all of us aside, that's ridiculous as well. I'm not sure why they would put all their friends aside and only hang out with each other. I mean, they're going to spend so much time together. You'd think they'd have room for everybody else. So, you know, that's why when you do know what love is, L is for the way we look at each other. O is for the way we observe and value each other. E is for the extraordinary, only one of a kind you are. So thank you, Sadhguru. If your idea of trust is that others must behave as you expect, that is not trust. No, it's not. That is cunning. And I am not even going to bother with the word that he chooses, because really it just means it's a person who needs Dr. Amy so they can learn about neuroception and why their nervous system is still afraid. They could also use Dr. Daniel Fox, who informs you of how Imagine trusting someone less when they are kind to you because you have abandonment fears and borderline personality disorder stuff going on. So you will sabotage a relationship just because you think that kindness is fake. No, you don't think. This is part of why pathologies, they're not thinking. They're just reactive with a 14-month-old, like the guy who says, I just want a world that is right, not one that wants what feels right. What feels right now is to give you a hug, but I won't, as I won't even be near you, because unhealthy self-worth people, I mean, it doesn't have to be saluted, consistently don't want to do the work. They call Patrick Tiahan a coward. He's not. He's a very great man making men strong versus the ones who are not real men. So when you're strong, it means you understand curling up in a corner is not lack of strength. It can happen. But you also don't call it laundry like a Zen master and continue dragging a pain point around, making it the highlight of your day, because it's not how hard you hit. It's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's called drama kings and queens who are hooked on their safety behavior of a body that alert. So when you meet 43, you'll know who they are, because they think that the world is going to come to an end because human beings are not doing great, like in every one of those shitty movies. I used to like them. Now it's like, oh, so we're horrible and yet we're not. This drama, really, the visceral. I mean, I used to watch them with a lot more happiness because I was like, the good guys win. I'm like, well, wait, good, bad. Okay, I'm growing up. I'm not a philosopher or a religious. I'm a scientist, even though I'm pseudoscience. Michael Stone, forensic criminologist, proves no evil. I mean, the evil scale, they all end up in prison because they have problems for real from their childhood, and more than just that. So again, imagine that you trust someone who is kind less. I can tell you all about it, and that's why some people see their relationships as battlefields and not partnerships. They misinterpret neutral situations, and they also misinterpret positive signals. On the other hand, whenever something's negative, they're like spot on with the upset, because again, they have consistently learned how to spot when someone's upset so that they can keep themselves safe. But they've also learned what is to do this punching bag. So I don't know it because I don't do it. I have fear and I accept it. And I have vulnerability and I accept it. And I don't play with children who are mean, because I was an 11-year-old like anybody else. And as my adolescent brain kicked in, I had already my first alloparenting group, which is my mother and my twin. They're the consistent figures. Then there were others added to the mix. And then I got to choose my next alloparenting group, and the teenage boyfriend with my friends was that group. And I said to him, okay, you didn't lose any trust because, you know, things take place. The second time, you didn't lose any trust. Things take place for kids. We're immature. Things happen. And by the third time now, I'm 18 or 19. I said, okay, look, I mean, make up your mind. This is getting ridiculous, because now it felt like ridiculous. But it wasn't, I'm so disrespected. So some people feel that cheating is disrespectful. I find cheating shows me you are a person who doesn't know how to have a very good conversation. One, about open relationships like polyamory. And two, also just you don't know how to talk to me, because obviously something's wrong. And I knew what was wrong. I'm not jealous. I have compersion. I told you this already. I'm not like the Italians or any of those insecure people in America and other places, because anytime I feel anyone who is talking to me about the possession of theirs, I'm like, wow, that's insecurity. You know that, right? No, that's how you know they love you. Okay, I mean, being afraid to lose someone, if you don't lose them, I mean, your amygdala and their amygdala would be alerted to each other as interesting. So that's why confidence, you don't get afraid of actually losing someone. Repairing ruptures, splinters. Really, it's not ruptures or splinters. It's just called, we can have arguments. No, it's not arguments. I'm sorry. Because see, arguments would mean where I would want to win. So what I'm saying is, you say tomato, I say tomato, you say potato, and I say potato, and we can laugh about it consistently. That's why the 5D collective. We are not misinterpreting signals or doing split black and white thinking. No, because we have a clear slate when you're in your prefrontal, present, attuning, resonating, trusting. That is an integrated brain. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. So, Siegel, seeking means admitting that you don't know. Once you have cleared your slate, truth can imprint itself upon it, said Guru. If you are really looking for truth, don't assume anything, just seek. That is accurate. And he also has something on, let me see if I can find it with all my notes. on how when you are enjoying what you're doing, you will continue to do so without actually being upset about it. While some people say, I want to let them know. And you're like, okay, really, really? So seeing source in others, yes, frees you up from curses, karma, chains of your ancestors. Not really. Seeing source in others means you understand we're a big ball of energy. When you meet spiritual bypassers, then they go and crap on humanity because, again, like the Zen master who doesn't know how to do his own laundry, meaning cry in a corner for a minute and just understand that things can take place. The ventral vagal state, again, is very easy when you're using mindfulness practices with the inner growth mindset and mindset stuff that we get to do with the paid subscribers because you understand. So I do have faith in God, and I also know dark matter, dark energy. I know my primary and secondary human consciousness, and I know that I'm a securely attached person because I'm called boring by the ones who are supposed to be motivating the not securely attached people to get healthy. But again, emotionally immature people will say, I'm an avoidant. Since you're picking on avoidance, I decided that I'm going to create a channel. And here, I stopped going to therapy because, they said I was doing a good job. And all they keep telling me is to do mindfulness and journaling. And I find it a waste of my time. Plus, all people are fucked up, aren't they? No, not really. I mean, if you want to define yourself as fucked up and weird, fine, sure, we're all weird. Are we teenagers sounding like idiots because what? We need to be different? Is this what's going on? Are we different? Are we really that different? And so, again, when people don't like that we're all the same, vulnerable and afraid because they don't know how to be kind to each other because their faith in humanity was wrecked somewhere, yeah, I'm not afraid of human beings because the pathologies. As I said, they don't think, and even when they're thinking, they're calculating. But what they are first and foremost is a feeling. So anger, sadness, fear, your three subcortical areas. You'll be motivated. Thank you, Dr. Dana Siegel, for the PDP framework and the IPNB framework, and then the child parts and the Enneagram. It all makes complete sense. So I meet 3-year-olds with 16-year-olds in the lead who think they're brilliant while being destructive, and I just think, wow, I can probably analyze with the nice technical verbiage if I want every single bit of it. I don't do it though, because really, but ascension energy is what I do know. It brings stuff up. So if you're expanding, it'll bring stuff up, thoughts, emotions, but sometimes it'll also bring that you just need to rest because sometimes that happens. So if your nervous system is yours, awesome. When it's a body in connection, you're going to enjoy us. If you're a body that is not in connection and you don't want to be emotionally mature, invincible, mentally mature, invincible by using left and right, you will not be back. You will most likely not become a paid subscriber. That is okay, but you will go hang out with somebody who tells you that life sucks and everything sucks and we're in danger. And it's like, yeah, every day we could be in danger because we don't know what dark matter and dark energy is going to do. But you better bet there's no Lucifer because Patrick McNamara showed exactly what decentralizing of the self is of the brain. And I know what sign to start because I'm the woo pseudoscience lady. And I know God, and God told me about Jesus, and Jesus told me about you, and that the kingdom of God is within us. So it's to a T the same message, love, Love. L is for the way you look at me, but someone might not want to be in love because they will want to consistently be in their pseudo-liveness, ups and downs and merry-go-rounds, and that's why the emotionally immature people follow each other around, and they say, polyamory, you're all whores. Oh, they're the ones who are destroying the families, and they've been able to make up a lot of shit, and they're continuing because they wield their mouths with the very same words I use, except for I'm not using it to try and be cunning or, mischievous, but they will use manipulation. Nobody breaks down and cries in front of a screen. Wow, you must have a stuck crying thing going on there. That is really a red flag, like complete red flag. But let me not inform you, since you seem to think that emotional all of a sudden bursts are not normal and they're only propaganda because you're boiling up with envy and jealousy for people who are able to connect with people through feelings. Again, you are not succeeding because the only people who come to you are stingy like you, and they don't connect with the feeling of love, but with the feeling of, wow. So yes, every voice will have a following. And that's because, again, those who listen very carefully know who the 5D collective is and who the 3D, 4D petty ones are. And it's like, okay, I know that I can sometimes say emotionally people choose. They're not the emotionally immature. They're not choosing their first 3 years of life to have been terrified. They get to keep choosing as they grow older with all the attachment trauma education to deny the truth to themselves because they don't like it. So teenage boyfriend, again, when you hear the stories, the people who are actually thinking in ways of ignorance, because insecure people are ignorance due to the fact that they don't know how to be their self with fear, vulnerability, and therefore have complete integrity and not actually bow down in shame to any master, to any human being in the forefront. And that's why authority, where? Who? I'm a functional child adult. You ain't no authority to me. And I practiced a long, long time ago. I can still remember when the people used to say, no, God taught me how not to play know-it-all. And I taught how to use a different word so that I would be able to have fun with my brothers and sisters who are actually quite ignorant and quite small in their mentality. And then I got to 2025 and I'm like, wow, there's still so many of them, God. And he keeps telling me, Maria, don't judge human suffering, a waste of your fucking time. Buddha, that's why he makes fun of me. And I say, Buddha, high five, I make fun of you too, but not you. So when you do know that your prefrontal cortex is what you want to use, so when you are again afraid, you'll look outside of yourself, because that's what your 1-year-old needed, your 2-year-old and your 3-year-old. And if you didn't get securely attached, you want to get that. So you unlearn the unhealthy self-soothing patterns, you unlearn the trauma projection stuff, you unlearn all of things that you were never meant to have. Thanks, Patrick Tian, for all of the people that are out there who know you don't raise your frequency or vibration or do all that stuff and get rid of childhood trauma. Nope. You first work with your good therapist to identify all that past and get out of projection, and then now you have access to your prefrontal cortex. And now you can be using the entirety of your brain versus what the 4D does, which is frontal lobe swap down, amygdala alerted. They're in their little safety behavior like this, and their modulated embodiment and distress is completely all over the place. So you do not have an angry Buddhist. Nope. And you don't even have an angry Christian Catholic. You don't even have an angry mystic. You have a very, it's dangerous to have no emotions person, which is a person who will be with a charge, and their entire body, unfortunately, is suffering the consequences because their primary consciousness is actually leading themselves home, but their secondary consciousness, with only half a brain working, has an inner critic because their brain matters. Like Lisa Feldman Barrett, the brain keeps an actual, what was it she said? The brain keeps a model of its body. Was it that, Lisa? Because she plays with words, because you know Dr. Bezel van der Kolk, he says the body keeps the score. Here, the brain is running a model of its body, Lisa Feldman Barrett. So the words matter and the body matters. And 97% of what is going out on outside is unavailable for scientists to observe, which is why they can only make their best guesses and their best estimates, which is why people don't want to believe in them anymore, the ones who like certainty. So they follow cynical people, say, I want the facts, not that it feels right. And instead, the smart ones of us say, okay, we all will make sense to ourselves and each other, but if you truly care about what you're creating, thank you, Sadhguru, and you get 2 opportunities, well, it's better than 1, right? And if you are suffering instead that which you're creating, well, then when it doesn't happen the exact way you want it to, now you don't, now you call things bullshit. If your idea of trust is that others must behave as you expect, that is not trust, that is cunning. So with the teenage boyfriend, he didn't lose my trust. Why would he lose my trust? Things happen in life, dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, unexpected, and unwanted. Okay, so I bring to you spirituality, but I also bring to you sciences, because I'm a human being first and foremost, and I do spiritual self-help, personal development, for the ones who know that they own the sense of self and have a body in connection. So why do you get to do IG mindset paid? Because you like to. You like emotional maturity. You like to be able to actually have exercises to integrate. And I'm laughing because there's a bunch of people who think that their intuition, their values, and nervous system guides them. If you don't have a nervous system that you guide with the thoughts and the feelings, meaning that you have interoception and the 5 senses, and that you know how to breathe, and that you know how to sit in stillness, which means that while someone's yelling in your face, you know how to say, whoa, it's confused, hold on. So this happened to me, and I'm not joking. So it's once you're able to be around any of that which is biological rudeness. Thank you, Stephen Porges. They're not choosing to be biologically rude. The reason he uses biologically is because they got red and yellow. That's their neuroception, so their body. So when I have met, whether it was borderline personality, whether it is narcissist, it doesn't matter. Whatever I've met, I don't use these words. They're my brothers and sisters. And Jesus made it very straightforward. Forgive for they don't know. Turn the other cheek. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. Don't cast a stone. Remember, there's only one God. Oh, don't worry. We'll call you all the names, God. But we know that you're a specific frequency, and that is why the title for the chapter I wrote in the book, The Ways to God, is called God is Discerning Equanimous Love, because the only ones who make a creator out to be a destroyer, and that involves even our lovely empowered feminine, yes, there's no destroyer. Ancient stories served for purposes, like those ancient children's. Does anybody remember the Grimm tales? Like the ones that I still remember, like the boogeyman is going to come get you. Why are you putting that in my head? Okay, so the point is that we do live with imagination, and while some people say, you're changing everything, we're simply learning how our brains work. And we like to learn how to be able and enjoy life. And so, yes, we are evolving as a species to learn that intuition is not always right. If you didn't get the beginning of your life to be safe to be you, you're going to follow CIA agent who tells you everyone keeps secrets, so we're going to keep more of them. In calculation, what is it? There is stress and struggle of the mind. In giving, there is joy. So again, we're not fake positive, and we're not pretending that everything's going well. We know how to use the stress, become a paid subscriber, and we do not live in suspicious mind, always thinking everyone is out to get you. You will only do very small things in life. Trust is very important. Thank you, Sadhguru, again. Yes. And if you think you are big, you become small. If you know you are nothing, you become immense. That is the beauty of being human. So, when you do know that candlelight illuminates damage beneath the feet with wave of lights, this is mine, and the wave of lights that come from the heart of the sky, the love force that made all creation possible. Well, that's why it's a very different world for an actual, empowered, feminine, masculine, mystic, spiritual, mindful, living, loving, empowered, functional child, adult, and anyone who is here, because love is always what we are. But it's not the gooey love in the sense of being with someone. It's the oxytocin gene hormone. It's an integrated brain, and so I'm using Maria's words. You don't write things down, okay? So we chose to use we use words. So what I can tell you is that you feel good inside when you are a body that is in connection and you're owning your nervous system, and you continue to build what is this ventral vagal portfolio of exercises. You don't need yoga. I didn't need yoga. I just use my thoughts when my emotions come up. That's why the inner growth mindset, it's for the ones of you who say, why not? Because we know that we inspire each other to be the best version of ourselves with open hearts and open minds. And again, we're all afraid. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. And we're all vulnerable, and there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable and afraid. And in one of the demos where I felt what a little bit of trauma charge was, I'll never forget that demo. My educational certificate programs, I have 2 that are certificate programs with trauma. This one is the embodied certificate one, and I'm doing one of the demos because we get to practice, even though the self-help people think we don't actually have to practice things. We do. Because I'm not a therapist. No, and I asked them, what do I do if I need you? They say, don't worry, you'll know. But in the meantime, everybody is headed where they're supposed to be headed, the kingdom of God. And I said, well, Gabor Mate said, no, I didn't say that. Somebody else did. And I understood what they were saying, because I've seen that there are those who, they got a bad gut. Oh, they keep following the bad gut. Emotionally immature people, again, they just want to feel good. In fact, they reach out to people. I recently got one of those, and it's because you will be consistently a safe haven, secure base for them, because your body actually has a ventral vagal state like mine, but I know how to use it all the time, because yes, you can always be on, because again, that's what integration is. Integration, thank you, lovely Dr. Dan Siegel, made visible is kindness and compassion. Not true. I'm going to do enough to be saluted doesn't think I'm kind or compassionate, and I didn't choose to be his friend because I didn't want to become his friend. There's nothing against him or in faith. I don't have interest in socializing. Anyone who feels guilty or like they should be ashamed for not wanting to befriend all, and here's where people say, but Maria, you say you love everyone. Yes, because I respect and love as a spiritual being all my brothers and sisters. As a being who also has a 14-month-old like you do, my amygdala tells me I'm alerted to smart people. Smart are stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. So they are open-hearted and they're flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable. They know how to use so they are always fun to be around, and they know healthy boundaries. I'm a person who says, I am selective, not picky. Do you hang out with anyone and everyone? But, okay, so when people want to challenge that you can have compersion, again, and they want to say that that means you allow disrespect to happen and you allow yourself to not have an opinion. Anyone who's taking a stand is a person who doesn't know how to have integration of the brain and differentiation, by the way, because they can feel and think life the way they want, and I can feel and think life the way I want. And we can say tomato, tomato, and really that's what subjective experiencing and having a ventral vagal state is all about. Okay, so the inner growth, again, mindset supports you to achieve this, which is why they're very straightforward. And on that note, again, as the ascension energies come about, more and more people get to have these moments of ascension, but that's only if they're choosing to expand. The ones who are choosing to contract because they're following their karma wheel, they're not going to go anywhere anytime soon per se. They're just going to think their intuition, values, and nervous system is always spot on. So when they will have the consistently searching of Tom and Jerry, because that's what they know, because chaos is familiar, while being at ease and at peace is not. So being happy is not something they're comfortable with. Like Patrick Chan points out, those childhood trauma survivors, it's the hardest thing for them to go to therapy. They feel that they're bad for wanting a safe haven, secure base. It's bad to want a healthy self-worth partnership. It's bad to want to have a healthy, engaging, emotional, mental relationship with someone because it's odd. And in fact, sometimes it can be very frightening because it's still a person. Like Terrio points out, we're all people. And so when people, though, are able to be aware that you're a person who doesn't do a 360, because, why would I turn my back on you? There's no reason. Like Michael Yapko points out, it's very rare that you're going to have a toxic person to the extent of where you need to get rid of them because you cannot relate to them at all. And he's right. So when people do not want to learn effective communication because they do not want to become emotionally mature, because they do not want to use their prefrontal cortex and ventral vagal state to learn compassion more and more. They don't want to do what we do here at IHP because, again, restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating life. That's what I live, and that's what I'm pretty sure Jesus lived. So when I said we embody Jesus and Buddha in one of the shorts, it doesn't mean we embody them per se. No, but we embody that which they walked, like Sadhguru walks it. He just doesn't know the psych education, while Dr. Daniel Siegel does know this psych education, and he uses different ways to talk about it. What I can tell you is that the bright sides of neuroplasticity, when you're using them, it takes 6 to 8 weeks, thanks to Dr. Dan Siegel, for new synapses connections to be created. And then you have the laying down of myelin. And then you have some more time for it all to get, set in. And then you're good to go. And so when people ask for shortcuts, and there are none, you know that you got a sloppy teenager in the room who doesn't want to help people. No, they're just another adaptive child part who thinks that they know how to sell a product, and your well-being is not a product, meaning that you are not an object. You're human that I love and care for, and that the human being who thinks that we can't love strangers, again, cynical. Wow, seriously, you are one of those, not you, but this person. I feel so sad for them. Who knows what happened to them as a kid, because they are just so upset. Now that we do have people who need help, yes, Michael Stone's forensic criminologist scale is very clear of 1 to 22. The 7 to 14 charming, though, are being followed by the ones who don't want to become intelligent minds, and they don't want to become integrated brains, and they don't want to feel all gooey inside and be in a fetal position with Patrick Chan, and then wait until they're ready to maybe forgive their parents and forgive what happened to them. Maybe not. So the ones who don't want to heal all trauma, because why would we want to? We want to keep re-traumatizing ourselves. Wow, really? So my scientist said we don't have to integrate. No one has to do anything. Your embodied brain is smarter than you. Smarter than the left brain. So, you don't have to do, because I know what God does. He'll make sure his children don't have to suffer, never giving you more than what you can bear. So when you got 3D, 4D brothers and sisters going around like Tom and Jerry, really, it's not they won't be around us, is that they are going to consistently be, we lose people when we ascend, because, we're special. There's only 144,000 of us. Really, there's only so many of you are children of God. The rest are what? oh, because all will be called, but few will be chosen. Few will take the call. So whenever you're hearing somebody making it sound like it takes it takes two to make there's a song that was coming through. So it takes you to decide that you can become more and more of the self-aware, accountable, regulating in the ventral vagal state. But it takes you first being subjectively objective about the fact you have, 1, body and connection, 2, ownership of sense of self, and 3, at that point, awesome, we got a whole self, which means you're gooey inside, and you are good with doing anger, sadness, fear with the inner growth mindset, because you can not only contain, but you can also notice, here's my triggers, here's my sloppy stuff, here's what I want to do to get out of being sloppy, and I can take my time, but not too much time, but I will take my time. Really, you have all the time in the world. We have all the time in this world, meaning that you can allow yourself to understand how it takes time for the charges of anything to be processed. That's why the sciences people and those who feel that life overwhelmed them like to call it post-traumatic growth. And then they say, we like to make up different words. And I say, you don't know my body and how I am a crybaby and an angry baby and a fearful baby, and that I'm okay with it because I'm not afraid when I get afraid. I know how to handle my panic attacks. All by myself. Yes, actually I do, because it's very, very easy. It's way easier to use my ventral vagal state than to be around the people who judge it. And when you talk to people who have panic attacks like you do, and IBS like you do, they know exactly what you're talking about, because they know how it feels when all those people around you are thinking things without saying it, and you still are like, yeah, okay, I'm still leaving. I know you think I'm a whack job, but I'm going. It's cool, thanks. And we're not upset at them, because I totally get it. I don't know what it's like to have, for example, ADHD, or what it's like to have childhood trauma body thing. I don't know what it's like to have a body that wants to stay like this. No, my body's like, I want to hug. I don't know what it's like to doubt people all the time. Actually, I don't doubt anyone, because I trust my gut, because my gut's a good gut. I only care about physical safety. So as long as I'm not asphyxiated, because air will still be here, which I hope, God keeps telling me that I'm physically safe, which makes me say then the whole world is safe. But does that really sound right? I say scientists are going to say no, so I'm cool. Let's just keep being brilliant minds together. Oh, remember, we all make sense to each other. Yes, to ourselves, you know what I mean? So I make sense to me, but I know how to learn from smart people. So on that note, let me grab a couple of quotes. We have our lovely Janina Fisher. That's the whole premise of guided visualization work. When we visualize or imagine some other experience, we automatically evoke the same feelings we would have had if we'd actually had the experience. So when you are securely attached, all of that, which is images, sensations, affects, emotions, behaviors, and meanings that come up, you work with it, because you own the narrative, the solo, the relational, and the core self. So I learn new words again with the attachment trauma education, but really it's I own Maria. And I own my story, right? So the story is not a story when you're practical, because you have the capacity to know all people, when they get afraid and are vulnerable, they're going to seek outside. That just means you look for your allo parenting figures. So I have mine, and then I learn to be independent, because I'm a mature, emotionally speaking person who doesn't need to hide my feelings. And I love to use my ventral vagal state. Otherwise, I would not be a mindfulness practitioner with mindset skills and an inner growth mindset that I know who it is for. And so mentorship is for people who can do spiritual self-help, personal development, and be their self. While when I started, I didn't realize being yourself meant having all of your ducks in a row. Now I do. Why? Because that's exactly why the smart human beings are helping all the people who want to be their self to be their self. Distorted self people are full of trauma charges, and they just get together. It's why they have different voices, different everything, but it's not different. It's just they are full of upset, because they're not safe in their bodies. And so they are not safe in their bodies, but they also don't want to get over the hump. So when you present to them the mindfulness or meditation or anything therapy related, and actually let's grab our lovely Neuroception Explained by Amy. So Dr. Amy, she is the Biology of Trauma podcast with Dr. Amy, and I already had learned a lot of this from Stephen Porges and my courses. And I actually have another quote from Janina that I wanted to see if I can find. and so yes, I'll pause so I can find it. Here it is. As she says, Janina Fisher, PhD, when the world is unsafe, remembering one's body and emotions means that we experience all subsequent worlds as unsafe, and our little nervous systems, adapt to a dangerous world. Okay, so again, when you think that your guides are your intuition, values, nervous system, but you're an emotionally immature person, you're not actually guiding yourself towards expansion, which is why Gabor Mate points out that people don't all have good guts. A good gut knows healthy self-worth. A gaslit gut rejects Patrick Tian being in a fetal position with him and then admitting I had a shitty childhood or whatever the words they're going to use, and I accepted to be treated in certain ways, did not feel disgust, did not feel the anger I was meant to feel, did not feel the also surprise. I didn't feel any of emotions deeply, and I'm not going to project any of it on other people and on humanity and dehumanize human beings, partners, whoever it is, because I'm the one who actually got a bad flavor in my mouth for being a human. Bad flavor because that's the part when you can't actually feel angry and disgusted at being treated in certain ways where it is actually common sense for a functional child adult, meaning you have no rights to treat me like any piece of shit. And if you do, my mother taught me how to respect you because she said, here's what it looks like and here's what respect is, and I learned it immediately, and when I've seen it ever since, however it worked, I'm like, I know what respect is, but I also got taught how to respect the other, and God chimed in and continued to, which is why he continues to this day to remind me, okay, yeah, humility is based on self-acceptance and don't endorse any kind of quote-unquote bitchy ass behavior, but you better bet your man decent enough to be saluted thinks I'm a bitch. I don't think I'm a bitch. I think actually someone should think about, where's your wife? We've never met her. How are you a published poet and getting drunk and whining? How old are you? And excuse me, I had nothing to do with your pissy pants, but telling that to somebody who's a biologically rude, living 0-8-year-old is not going to be in any way, shape, or form effective because they're not hearing me anyways, and they already know everything. The people who deny that they don't know how to feel fully and deeply and with joy, and to feel happy about being human. And that is very important. I was a teenager already. You know you're crapping on your own species, right? Which means you're crapping on you. No, I'm not. Yeah, you are. I just stopped doing things that seem very much silly to a person who's common sense. I'm a human. Why would I crap on my own species? I actually want us to thrive and live, and I know about the sun is going to go out maybe, and yeah, I know about all the theories of everything being fake. Anybody want a rabbit hole to jump in? Because I'm with Bill Nye, or Nay, however his last name is. Even if there were Matrix, you really think you're going to prove it? So how about you allow yourself to decide what you're going to focus supporting out there in the world, right? So when people are supporting entertainment, I mean, why not? Content creators, I'm an entertainer. Mentor for those who want to grow up to become more of their functional child adult, and then for spiritual, it's amazing. I mean, I have so much fun with mysticism and with our stories. So when we have our workshops, retreats with our lovely, tarot, channeled guidance, all this stuff. So like right now, there's a big ascension energy again. It's 12 months. I learned my cycle the first year around. By the second, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing. Third, this is an empowered feminine, and by the fourth, I was like, get the fuck out of my space. You guys are still doing the same shit over and over again. By the fifth year, I was like, oh, thank goodness, I have space now. And then it kept moving forward. So you don't be like, I lost people. I went through dark night of soul and ego death so many times. I'm like, there's no ego death. I don't have dark night of soul. What are you talking about? There's no tragedy with my twin flames. I just actually learned a lot about being an empowered feminine. Oh, and I closed out my actual karma with my masculine component because we all have both. So I've been around since the day of time, and I can tell you that positive and negative, yes, but that positive and negative is love and fear. So the fearful brothers and sisters, that's why God says, Maria, don't judge human suffering. Waste of your fucking time, because it's all the cowards. And no, you don't get near the 14 to 22 because that's how smart your gut is. Because when I have a perception of anything that is physically off, hey, I'm going, bye, that's it. I'm sorry, I don't hang out with those people. Nope. Yeah, you can call me a snob. It's okay. So unhealthy guts, they hang out with a bunch of bullshit people. And they end up hanging out with people who they say, no, but they're safe. Excuse me, come again. No, we have each other's back. Who's back? Because I'm pretty sure I saw a bunch of people running out into nowhere land once shit got real. come again? So when you meet teenagers and you're not a buffoon, because you will have realized by the time you're a teenager that no one had anyone's back, because emotionally immature people, they're cowards. But while a teenager, it's actually 11 to 25 adolescent brain, there's a very specific essence, the adolescent essence. Thanks, Dr. Daniel Siegel. Essential spark, social engagement, novelty, creative expression, which is why they need the good grown-ups to show them what the way is, which isn't about monoamory or polyamory, women, man, pronoun. No, it's about ventral vagal state. And you know how to show up, because it's not only parents, they didn't do the best they could when they didn't go and get their emotional job done. No, it's also people who choose to use their mouths all over the place. I'm a healer. How dare you trauma dump? You're a what? Come again? Humans are crappy. They're all okay. Come again, because I think you mean to say you're really upset at people right now. Oh, so we cannot rebuild having faith in people until we talk about how it got broken. Thank you, Patrick Chan. I didn't have faith broken in human beings, because if you tune into the late HP show, you will know. I know that I'm imperfect, I'm flawed, and so are all of us. So fear and vulnerability. I'm not afraid of being afraid because I'm afraid. I'm not afraid of being vulnerable because I am vulnerable. It's not a weakness to cry. It's not a weakness to be angry. It's not a weakness to be sad and afraid. And so in the demo, as I'm being walked through and I'm feeling a little sliver of trauma memory, that's when I realized what Bethany and Ruth Lanius were talking about, Bethany Brand and Ruth Lanius, this self-loathing, gut-wrench, torn apart in the midline. And then that's why, as Stephen Porges points out, you don't heal the shame stuff in a certain way. I forget what his words are, but it's because it's a physiological. So again, neuroception is important to understand that the sensory motor of Pat Ogden, somatic sensory motor in the other child parts work, is important, because your body actually is, yes, unlearning things, but without the psychoeducation, without being walked through it, you won't have any awareness. And so people repeat maladaptive patterns of behavior on a wheelhouse because their body is used to unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms. And so you don't talk yourself through raise your vibration, live in abundance, or manifest your way through childhood trauma. You don't get out of the neuroception that is scanning constantly, safe, unsafe. You understand who's the expert you can work with, and that's why, again, you will look, if you're still here, we can't tell people what to do. They have to be the ones who are interested in it. YouTube is full of information. So when it comes to mystics, we are responsible, the spiritual ones, in my personal subjective opinion, to let those out there know, yeah, woo-woo pseudoscience. Don't worry, I won't tell you to come to me and not go to therapy. In fact, any shaman who's telling you that, it's bullshit. He's not going to save you 20 years of therapy. He's going to, yes, perhaps clear your energetic sphere, all of that. But in the meantime, your behavior and what you're condoning, allowing yourself to speak to other people and do, is completely immature, because I can see it. I, with my subliminal messages, blah, 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 blah. Okay, really? It's thanks to you that someone can connect to God. Wow, that's an ego right there. Oh, you know everything about who? God? Wow, again. You know everything about which archangel? Wow, all of it. And the ones who go to them, that's because they're afraid, vulnerable, and it's not us who are the con artists. Anyone can be a con artist and use these fucking big words, which mean nothing to a person who's intellectually and emotionally smart. Whenever I'm hearing somebody say sophistication, I'm like, where? Who's sophisticated? I mean, I get it, I curse, but sophistication of what? That's desperate and manipulative. That just sounded like a human being, and I'm like, oh shit, not about being not decent. Wow, my God, and I'm like, shit, what the fuck? 3 years of consistently giving you the cold shoulder so I wouldn't give you mixed messages, and you still decided in any yell, but you let him, you didn't yell at him. Really? You want me to use my body to yell at who? I wonder who, but what is he doing? Nothing, except for being a poor, biologically rude human. I can't even say poor, because that's actually disrespecting the poor human being who got treated, who knows how, but there is a solution. Do you think he's aware? No, apparently he's an established, again, poet. And so are unaware all these other people want to say we have each other's back when they're behaving like Diego's family. Or Ice Age. I mean, still, I love using stories, but, pachas are what we want. We want more of pachas, not of the Cuscos who lie, or the, Manny's, Diego's, and Sid who still have unhealthy boundaries. The aspect of those who do not lose trust the emotionally mature person who doesn't need to do work, because at a certain point it becomes really fun to just be yourself, like an emotionally mature, mentally mature person. I have big grown-up words to use. So for me, no one is sophisticated, because my gut tells me if I'm in physical danger, I'm up and out. As for those who are insecure, I don't actually do anything, because God chimed in a lot of times, and at the end of the day, I don't want to waste my breath. He still chimes in to tell me I'm not wasting, to use a different word. Now, someone who wants to tell me about science, go for it. I know what I am. So sure, it can be my whole self. You aren't making me upset because you don't believe in God. I already know people who don't believe in God. I know people who believe in Lucifer, but they don't believe in God. And when you say neuroscience proves there's no demons inside of anyone and that there's child parts, and say to yourself, ha 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 ha, really? Wow, that's amazing. And yet you'll tell me that there's not a big bang that can be explained. Inconsistencies are of the fearful ones who are vulnerable and don't hear themselves. When I hear them, I don't say anything, because my facade friend taught me how not to get into people's faces. And really, I don't want to. So when you're building a herd, you're building them because my alloparenting, I build a herd of those who are my loved ones. It's all of people. And the ones I don't want to be friends with, they're still loved ones, because I said yes to Jesus, God, Holy Spirit. And I am a person who doesn't break my promises. When it comes to trust, you don't lose it, because you know what I find out at the end of every story? Oh, you're still lying, Cusco. How amazing is that? That's not a challenger. That's not something I'm like afraid of. I actually don't think anyone can fuck you over anywhere, because if you're that stupid to fall for bullshit, you didn't get a good gut yet. So I've heard people, but what? You know what I'm going to know? I'm going to know the minute that there's anything that you have. So people who are stingy, they're cold and sensitive, and they think they know everything. I'm not cold and sensitive. I just know things, and I have what is called the capacity to say, this is what I believe in. But it's with humility, not with a closed heart, because I'm not harboring resentment and I'm not stingy. So I'm sharing who I am authentically, which is the very big difference of the energy that I'll bring into a room when I'm saying no. Versus somebody who's small and rigid. Now, can I get rigid? Yes. You know when? When I'm physically afraid, or I get some shit pulled under the rug, and all of a sudden I'm now completely at a loss, and I know my subcortical. So when you know yourself, this is why you own the nervous system. You know how your brain works. You know how your heart works. Your child parts, okay? So humanly speaking, I can give you an explanation, which is why the 5D collective, we are the ones who, when I learned about what our 5D collective would be, would know everything's fine. We're going to keep moving forward, and I know that these are sciences and spirituality, and it's all smart human beings who know how to use an integrated brain, a restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating, and they all know it takes time to get there. Pretty much. Pretty simple, yeah? Yeah. Depends on you. If you say, I'm dead, I want them now, and you keep on making up bullshit excuses, you're not going to get anywhere. This is a person who did the therapy. They honored it, all of it, and then they do this. So you got a Zen master says you got laundry, and you cannot be enlightened. You got another person who decided to say enlightenment trap, and a bunch of people who are talking shit about spirituality because they don't know how to do it. But we have spiritual bypassers who are completely unhealed, and they're all adaptive child part people. The savior complex one. Notice, the minute they're telling you, I know everything, it's a black and white thinker. That's it. You can already put them in a little golden nugget box, because that's all they're adding to the value of. Why? Because they haven't heard their tone, and they haven't heard the, I know everything. Are you moron? Because you don't know everything. How many subject matters are there? Between spirituality and sciences, I don't even know. How many more are still researching? There's an infinite still number of pieces of information we don't know. Oh, does that make you destabilized? I'm so sorry. So no, I'm not destabilized by knowledge, because again, what was it, Sam Harris? Grounded in reality is what? Any of my cherishable beliefs can be falsifiable. Thank you, Sam Harris. I love you, God. So dark matter, dark energy, please don't implode. That's it. Because for spiritual people, that's it. I can say, sure, science. It didn't disprove God. It actually proves everything I know already about my brothers and sisters, which is why you choose love or you choose fear. I don't care which one. I know which one I chose and why. And I know which one anyone can choose and why. And then I know the ones who think they know what they're talking about, but you can tell they treat people like shit. They talk about them like shit. And they don't have an objective, which is let me help people to heal really. No. Because the one who does do that, thank you, Patrick Tian, as he says to his community, you don't have to forgive. And I understand it, because you know what I would know if I found out that I'd be unkind for half of my life and doing shit that is completely unhealthy, completely ridiculous, completely stupid, because that's when you're going to come to the realization, stupid, because for some it'll be small, for some it'll be big, depending on what it is. And you'll be like, wow, I am infuriated. And that's why he has not only a group where he says, when you begin the journey, fetal position, you get all very sad, you realize, what the fuck, I was surrounded by a bunch of dangerous people, you know, alcoholics driving and sending me to do things that were not. So there's still plenty of them out there. They're actually, we're going to raise children right, make them into real men, real women, really, sure you are. So life, it's soft and hard, and life is with smart people. So the words, people use words, it's how are you with emotions and thoughts all aligned. So when you see authenticity, transparency, they usually know how to hear all, and then they usually know how to present some, and then they usually know how to when to be quiet, and you won't know any difference unless you are. And if you are authentic and self-confident, you're going to have a good time here because you know how to be smart. And that's why we don't harbor resentment or upset at our brothers and sisters of fear. A person who realizes my parents, my ancestors didn't choose the trauma, so they can make peace with some of it. And as, again, Patrick Tian says, it's a journey that you choose, the forgiving one. But you get into the fetal position, you get angry, you reconnect your emotional body. So there's all these things. And then once you're an inner adult, anyone speaking, you're not an authority of me, but inside, that's how you feel. So you are disengaging more and more from this inner child that feels pressured, which was something that you were never meant to feel. You were meant to feel free to be all of you with all the angry, sad, afraid, surprised, disgust, happiness, emotions, and all of the essence of you as a child, which is going to be imperfect, flawed, and make mistakes. You're meant to be raised with a third of attunement, repairing ruptures. I don't yell at you for playing Superman and call you a stupid moron or an idiot or make you feel like you need to be. I let you be a child who can have imagination and playtime. I don't bring to you grown-up conversations and make life hard for you when you're a 0-8 codependent. No, because your brain's still developing. So people who want to continue to think that they know how the embodied brain develops and then they're listening to pseudo-intellectuals, again, you'll know who the 3D, 4D are because they're against all that involves compassion, neuroscience, neurobiology, mental health in the way of, let me break down the modern day therapist and tell you they're trying to imprison you. No, they're not. They're teaching you how not to re-traumatize yourself and what the difference is between you doing work and not doing work. So when I'm feeling this sliver of trauma memory, it is poking through me, and I remembered the whole self-loathing gut wrench of Bethany Brand and Ruth Lanius, and I'm like, wow, I get it. They need the fearful 7 to 14. They're not charming, but they need them because some people will not find the information, or maybe they won't have money to be able to go. I don't know why, but I don't think it's an end game. Robert Sapolsky determined says we have no free will. I beg to differ, but I do realize how many resist treatment, like Dr. Amy Appijan points out. Dietary changes, mental mindset changes, like the avoidant who decides not to go back to therapy and not to even do journalism or mindfulness. So you don't do integration of the brain without working out the integration of the sides, bilateral, vertical. And so what comes up doesn't want to go back down. And if you don't know how to explore it, as you don't know how to be objective with your subjective experience and not call sadness laundry and not call anger something that's justified and not call afraid something that's weak. They're emotions, you have them, and they actually last 90 seconds once you've practiced the, again, inner growth mindset. That's why you value becoming more emotionally mature, more emotionally depth. Become a paid subscriber. It's really fun. I've had fun every year of my life. I'm going to keep having fun. Spiritual and personal growth. They grow and lead you to a deeper connection with self, truth, and God. Truth is neutrality and duality. Trust is that teenage boyfriend didn't lose trust because I already knew what was missing, and we would talk about it. And by the third time, I'm like, okay, this is childish. The fourth time, he didn't even admit it. That's how much of a coward he grew out to be. Because really, by the time you're breaking up, at least have the decency to admit that you did do it again. You're not going to even admit it. But at the end of the day, I am still friends. Why? Because they're part of my family. In fact, this is the part. I did it all by myself. Yes, because nobody supported me to stay friends because they don't know what love is. It's a verb. Thank you, Eric Fromm, with The Art of Loving. And the self is also a verb. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. It doesn't change when it's whole. So when you are a consistent piece of frequency that has not been broken, It's because in my embodied brain, I have a self agent. I am leading with the self, and I didn't get ruptured. And some could say it's my alleles, so it's my genes. That way people can know I got lucky. I can experience depth of emotion in the absence of going offline, and that will piss some people off. And you know what pisses me off is they don't even bother to notice, wow, I wish that somebody would be miserable inside, versus, wow, how amazing, you actually have the capacity to feel deeply in a way that's smiling. I want to do that too, because see, if really we must, I'm always thinking, wow, you don't want me to be happy, you want me to be sad. If you were a person who had any decency, you'd notice what came out of your mouth just as you spoke it. But you won't, will you? Because fearful ones with vulnerability, the fetal position, our ancestors, and there you go, subconscious leading your way. I got a 14-month-old in the forefront. Hey, who's your in-group leader or your out-group? Which group are you from? Any takers? So that's why people who actually own their sense of self don't do let me copy you. I want to work like you. I have a twin, so I mean, really, there's only one of you, one of a kind. And it's not a competition, which is also why compersion. No one can replace me. No one can replace you. The whole polyamory, monoamory. A person who is a securely attached polyamory person, by the way, is not a masochist, and we don't do any of, you're not poly enough. So this is where securely attached people aren't emotionally immature. We know emotional maturity, mental maturity, and we like to have very in-depth, important conversations again and again and again. And that's the beauty of a bond that is deepening, is that when you have emotionally mature people, they're not only doing the work, they enjoy personal development, they enjoy spiritual growth, they enjoy exploring the thoughts and the emotions and their embodied brain. Why would you not enjoy exploring the depths of you? Makes no sense whatsoever, except for the ones who have shame inside. When they have shame inside, that's why the therapists say you need to work with us first. No, you can. If you work with them, you dissolve the shame. And that's what yoga, ventral vagal portfolio of toning exercises, meditation, integration of brain. At the end of those stories, they always go invisible on you. I'm assuming, Maria, that it's the ego dissolving. So it's still stories that I don't look up to. I think Jesus walked with all the people he got crucified. So anytime I'm hearing of somebody going to the mountain, disappearing, another becoming a tragic poet, another one, I don't know, running away from the town, I'm just thinking again and again, sorry, Buddha, love you, man, but what the fuck, you know, like, hello, anyone, coward, why? So today I can tell you that I know the stories make sense from a perspective of the ego dissolving, but they still aren't something that motivates a person who hears about what Jesus did and who knows about what walking and talking and actually what emotions are. So hearing somebody say suffering is what this very existence, the truth, no, yeah, I'm not a Buddhist actually at all. And I am a human who knows how not to suffer because I use my brain, the prefrontal though. So once again, this word means something to those who suffer it, not to those of us who don't. We can understand it, but I know how to wield my brain in a way that is the flow state. And people who don't know how to do it, they don't even try. They think it's a fake happy. And I'm like, no, it's not to them, to you. So the suffering, ignorance, hatred, and greed. Yeah. Neuroscience, ha 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 ha, everyone has something to believe in. Really? I mean, I know I'm not the scientist, but wow. So we want to remember some people like stories, and they're in and out group stories, and some people like what is called, we know some things, not all things, and the functional child adults, welcome aboard. Again, become a paid subscriber if you enjoy doing emotional, mature, mental mature, physical mature, fun stuff, and for Akashic record readings, tarot, Reiki, in the future, the workshops, retreats, stuff like that. But also I do offer mentorship, so that's something we talk about if you're doing personal development. And you email me for inquiries. Also masterclass in the future, although we'll probably have a light version of that on the subscriber paid content. So thanks for stopping by. Enjoy the lovely ascension energies. I know some people won't, but you will if you are expanding, because you understand how circumstances in the night, merry, laughing, and handsome, and a mirror, an invasion of reflection of trust. So everything happens for a reason, and every action has a reaction, and all that is meant to come comes your way. So no one loses trust, because once I've seen your 5 Cusco hands, I know what you're made of. And once you have attachment trauma education, and you know that anybody who's afraid looks out when they're vulnerable, and you understand that if their body is like this, they're going to keep on doing the low self-esteem, indirect communication, passive aggressive, and deny a lot of things, you leave it alone. So I appreciate God's wonders because I have the body in connection with a inner growth mindset, and I have a self that says you can inspire yourself to the infinite higher human conscious potential experience. I'm doing it, so can you. But it is about ventral vagal toning. So it is about when you cry or when you're angry, not doing, Dad, it's called laundry. It means you always have shit going down. No. It means let's put into practice something. Neutrality and duality, that's why it helps you. It helps you to bring that prefrontal down, self-agency. Then you share it in a safe space. And so again, it's fun with the functional child adults to do it. The teenage boyfriend, again, I use him as the example of someone who didn't have me lose faith in men. No, I just realized that men don't know how to tell you the truth, but women also. And then I just realized that petty people continue to be emotionally immature, and they want you to hug them and pat them on the back, but they don't want to grow integrity, virtue, or unconditional love. And they actually do at some point, shape, or form, except that you will not be saying, oh, great job. And so with that being said, 3D, 4D, hang out with 5D and vice versa. Nobody's going to do anything because I know how to differentiate like I was when I was 3 and still now. Dr. Dan Siegel, the other advice he gave me when I asked, I said, hey, so, when I walk in a room, and I didn't say I was a mystic because I didn't need to, because scientists also have the experiences that mystics do and more. And then there's other scientists who say it's all pseudoscience, and woo, you know that. And then there's the ones who say, yes, but you do know that we want to inquire with curiosity. So we're going to keep exploring spirituality and consciousness and get it into our sciences with the rigorous quantitative data. And so that's why the smart scientists are not laughing at us. The ones who have their egos, whether they're spiritual bypassers or savior complex or basically the bullshit, quote unquote, scientists, they all give us golden nuggets. So we laugh at them. They don't know because they're arrogant in the absence of their actual self. So they think that they know everything. And those brilliant, destructive minds don't notice shit. If they did, they would actually know why Robert Sapolsky's book Determined is so important. And not that they don't have free will, but that if they actually wanted free will, they would go and get ownership of the two sides of their brain and get out of structural dissociation, cognitive dissonance. And so the left mode goes on with life. The traumatized part of the brain doesn't, and it only comes up in the adaptive child part, which is why maladaptive patterns of behavior are considered by Terry Real with the adaptive child part losing strategy. I say, no, not really, Terry, because some of us know how to handle them. It's no, it's not about decency. No, we won't become friends. So you don't change your mind because of having anything take place. So when I choose, like with the teenage boyfriend, I don't change my mind because we have differences, imperfections, flaws. What is this? And no, we don't grow old and boring. What are you, a person who doesn't learn anything? How do you grow boring? Okay, so again, people who are in stereotypes, generalizations, and little groups, they continue to generalize each other, and they don't learn how to have fun with conversations. It's not good or bad. And I am focused with the spiritual self-help personal development. So whatever I'm talking about a journey called you becoming more of yourself. Just so you're clear, the topic is centered around self-improvement, self-help, self-love, self, and not like what other stuff, but we do integrate other stuff. And so, yeah, sometimes I think remind yourself to share that. Thanks again for joining us. Like, share, and subscribe. You'll help the channel grow. And also, you can become a paid subscriber. It's in the description box below. Or if you're hearing me, it is going to be on the main IHP page. You will help the channel grow. But also, if you're enjoying inner growth mindset content, you will enjoy putting those into practice. So you have some samples out there. And I also accept requests if you have some ideas. You also can ask Maria. So that's kind of like a columnist episode. Dear Abby, but it's Dear Maria. This is can you give me your food for thought? But it's not anything more than food for thought from a human being who's a self-agent. Yes, I am a mystic. Yes, I'm a channeling downloader. But those aspects of channeling and downloading, I share for our collective when we have readings and themes, and or if we're doing personal development on a journey together, or we're having workshops or retreats. The paid content creation is ask Maria as a person who's saying, can you give me food for thought? Not ask Maria to download, channel, and ask source for messages. I'm just sharing that right now because of making sure to be clear on that. because that's not part of the subscriber paid content. It would be part of a one-to-one where there's actually choices that we're making for your journey, and or anyways, that's a whole different request. So I think that makes sense for any of you who do know what Akashic Record readings and Reiki Master and Tarot is for. So if you don't know, it's okay. Don't worry. And for those who do know, you understood what I was sharing. So thanks again for stopping by. Have a good one.